Hi everyone, my name is Jenna Byrne and I love doing mixed media art journaling as a way of uh, having a conversation with God. I'm a Christian and I use it in my private prayer time to hang out with God, to tell Him how I'm feeling and to listen to Him and let Him minister to me. So we're going to do some mixed media art journaling today. This is an all age session. So anyone from sort of 4 or 5 upwards could do it. I tested it on my 4-year-old and she managed to do a lovely picture with a bit of help from me, of course. But lovely thing to do together, a parent and a child maybe. And the title of this piece is Jesus Wants to Give You a Hug. So I have a confession to make, and that is that I am a hugger. And it's quite possible if we were doing this workshop face to face in a group, then even though I'd only just met you, then I would have probably welcomed you with a big hug. But of course, at the moment, hugs are outlawed, which is a kind of strange situation for me and for all of us. And that has obviously meant that some people, those who are living on their own, might not have had a hug for a very long time, for months and months. And I can only imagine how hard that may be. And also, there might be other people in our life who we are missing, who we would love to give a hug to, and we can't at the moment. I found it particularly hard not to be able to hug my dad, who is on his own. Jesus, I think Jesus was a hugger too. He loved to let the little children come to him so he could give them a hug. He reached out and touched people who had infectious diseases like leprosy. He let people touch him who were socially unacceptable. So I think Jesus was okay with hugs. And a verse in particular came to mind when I was thinking about this, where Jesus compared himself to a chicken, of all things. He said, and this is in Matthew 23, verse 37, and Luke 13, verse 34. Jesus says, "How often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings." So the plan is today to make a picture of a hen, and here's one I made earlier. Here's our hen, and the hen represents Jesus, and there's a little surprise. If we lift up the hen's wing, we can see 2 little chicks hiding under our Jesus hen's wing. And the chicks represent, well, the first chick we're going to make represents you and me, and our decision to put ourselves in Jesus's embrace, to ask him for a hug. And other chicks we might make represent other people who we love in our life, who we want Jesus to be close to. So that's the plan. Simple idea, really. You might want to download a printout of the hen shape, which I will put a link to hopefully in the description of this video for you. So you can click on that and print it out, and that also has a supply list with it of all the bits and bobs that you might need, mainly a wax crayon or a wax candle and some paint, and some paper. Those are the main things that you might need. So I have recorded this video with the help of my daughter Sophia, who is 7 years old, and let's get started. I hope you have lots of fun.
Hello everyone.
Hello everyone. This is Jenna and Sophia here. This is my wonderful daughter Sophia, who is extremely good at doing lovely art journaling. So she's going to help show us all what to do today. And the first thing we're going to work on is our printouts, which hopefully you have printed out. They look like this. And so we're going to work on 3 sheets, and we're going to do a really similar thing on 3 sheets. We're going to do it on this sheet. In fact, we're going to do it on the back of this sheet. We're going to do it on a plain piece of paper, and we're going to do it on our background, which is, in our case, we're working in our journals, aren't we? Okay, so we've got our paints ready. And have you got a paintbrush there, Sophia?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to work on the back of our printout. Turn the printout over. And the first thing we're going to do is actually not paint. We're going to get our wax crayon or our wax candle, and we're going to make some marks on our page with some wax. And the fun thing about that is when we paint over it, the paint doesn't go on the waxy bits, it goes on the in-between bits, so it leaves a nice pattern underneath. Now, for our hen, we are going to do a wavy pattern, a bit like doing a pattern of the waves in the sea. So I'll show you with this yellow crayon the kind of marks that we want to make. So we want to make a mark that goes like this, but obviously if you're using a white crayon or some white candle like Sophia's using, you won't actually be able to see the line that you're drawing, but just do it anyway and press really quite hard when you're doing it. So can you do that, Sophia? Can you do a wavy line like that? And we're going to do lots of them. So we're going to fill the page. We're going to do a whole stack of them. We're going to start at the top, and we're going to do wavy lines like this. You're pressing nice and hard. Little waves like this. Like Mummy's doing. Can you see?
Yeah.
So lots of wavy stripes like this. Don't worry too much about it. But this is just going to give us a nice background to our piece of paper. Do you reckon you've done it? Oh, you were quicker than me. Can I have a go with your candle?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with our candle. You press nice and hard because it's quite important you press nice and hard.
Yep.
Parents, you might have to just help with this little bit. Okay, have we done that?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next we're going to go in with some paint. I've got a really big paintbrush. Have you got a paintbrush? Okay, so this is going to be our hen. So what colour do you think a hen is, Sophia?
I think it's sort of red.
Red, yeah, it could be.
I'm going to go for like orangey, yellowy gold.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go for more of a kind of speckledy grey. So we can just go in there, mix up some paint, put some water on our paints. We're using these paints. They were from IKEA. We like these guys, don't we? So I'm going in with some blacky grey, and we can just start putting some colour onto our page. And can you see? Yeah, it is awesome, isn't it? It's the lines that we've drawn suddenly appear. We couldn't see them before, but they've suddenly appeared.
Yeah, mine is sort of appearing.
Now, if you can't see them, you might want to pause and go back in with your crayon and just do another few lines, pressing just a little bit harder, because you really do
basically see mine.
Need to press hard.
I can see mine, look.
You can see it?
Yeah.
That's good. So it's nice. I like to just go for it, kids. You can get involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm doing some brown, some grey,
orange,
mixing in a bit of dirty white there.
dirty.
You sort of need to use a strongish colour, I suppose, for the white to show through underneath. Ooh,
Yeah.
Just spilled some water on me.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Oh.
Maybe a bit of this browny colour. Maybe put a bit of brown on yours and those lines.
It's not brown, it's like a goldy colour.
Okay.
Which I like.
And I'm using quite wet paint here.
Need to use quite wet paint for this.
Like that. The other thing I quite like to do is I like to get some nice patterns on there, and you can use all kinds of things to do that. Anything with a kind of texture on it. So I'm using bubble wrap, a little piece of bubble wrap. You've got your little piece of bubble wrap on there. You could use, this is a piece of cardboard, if you see the lines on that. You could use anything really, textured wallpaper, anything with a bit of texture on it. This isn't essential, but it is quite fun. So what I do is I get my bit of bubble wrap, I pick a strongish colour, put some paint onto my bubble wrap, and just bounce it on the page like that. Not all over, but just in some little areas. And that creates all these little marks. Can you see these little circles? I think the hard bit is resisting the urge to pop the bubbles, isn't it, Sophia? Because that's really fun. We like popping bubbles too, but maybe do your printing first and then you can pop the bubbles afterwards. Yeah. So we've got some nice patterns going on there. And the other thing I like to do you want to do a bit of bubble wrap paint printing or something? A bit of printing on yours?
Yeah.
The other thing I quite like doing is splattering some paint on there. So I've got a toothbrush. You could just use your paintbrush. That's good too. And what you need to do is you need to kind of get your thumb. My paintbrush has gone a bit funny. I've lost my brushes. Get your thumb on the paintbrush and try and flick. Yeah. Oh, did you see that? Flick some paint onto the page. So a bit of splattering with my paintbrush too. I might go in with a bit of a stronger colour like a red. Just scrubbing around, getting my paintbrush really nice and painty. And then again with my thumb I'm just going to kind of scratch the brushes like this. Oh, look at that nice splatting.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. You're going to do some splatting?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I hope you're all having fun. So that is one sheet done. Pretty much.
I haven't done my sheet.
So I'm going to put that to one side to dry. That's it. You've got a lovely orange page going on there. Do you want to hold yours up so everyone can see?
So I've done some yellow, some gold, and some.
So we can see some of your wiggly lines there coming through, and some of your lovely bubble wrap printing. That's beautiful. I love it. So the next one I think we'll work on our background.
Okay.
So we're going to do a really similar thing here. We're going to start again with our wax, so whether they're crayons or candles. We are going to make some marks this time.
Okay.
You with me?
Yeah.
We're going to make some marks this time that are like sort of like grass. So this is our farmyard, and we're going to do a nest.
Farmyard?
Oh dear.
Ooh, can we do a nest?
Yeah, we'll do a nest at the bottom,
cool.
And we're going to do a sort of background of sort of grass and sort of twiggy bits up here. So we'll start with some lines. We'll start with some lines that go upwards like this.
Okay. There we go. I need to press down harder.
Yeah, nice and hard. Don't forget to press nice and hard, particularly if you're using a candle. You can just use a little birthday candle or whatever you've got really. Okay, so I've done some grassy marks going upwards.
I got the grassy marks too.
That's fun. And then I think I'm going to use some yellow or some brown to do a nest at the bottom. What colour would you like, Sophia? Would you like some brown or some grey or yellow?
I'm gonna go for
to do your nest. We can do all of them if you like. Which would you like to start with?
I'm gonna go for some yellow, I think.
Nice scribbly nest for our hen, our Jesus hen, because the hen represents Jesus. Because Jesus said, like a hen, he wanted to snuggle us up under his wings. Would you like some brown?
Can I do some orange?
I haven't got orange, I've got brown or grey.
I'll go for brown.
Cool. So nice scribbly nest here at the bottom with your crayons or your whatever you've got, or you can still use your white wax crayon if you want to for this. You don't have to use colours. And then we'll go in with the paint, and this time, because this is sort of a farm, I'm going to go for kind of greeny kind of colours, greens and browns, that kind of thing. So we're going to do exactly the same as we were before. Get our paint really nice and wet. Oh dear, I haven't mixed the brown in with the green, but that's probably okay. And we're going to start to put different colours over our marks that we've made.
I'm going to do some like mixes of greens and browns.
I'm just squidging the paint on here.
Then we can just like get some lighter green.
Maybe a bit of yellow, bit of sunlight coming through.
That's looking really good. I'm really showing up.
Your lines are really, you pressed nice and hard that time. It's really good.
Better than my chicken.
That's good. Well, every time we do something, we learn, don't we?
That's what it's all in love.
Okay, I'm going to go in with my bubble wrap again.
Go in with
Again,
bubble.
better to use a darker colour for this, so it shows up. Splat a bit of bubble wrap around.
I think that's looking really cool now.
Like that. Just all a bit speckledy. Dirty farmyard.
Dirty.
Something like that.
That's looking really
I
cool.
think that's looking good, thank you. I think yours is looking really cool too.
Thanks.
You're doing great. And I might try some of this, printing with some of this cardboard as well. Maybe with a bit of a darker green.
Oh my goodness, I didn't do any paint there. Like a whole spot, I didn't do any paint at all.
Oh look, that's nice. What do you think?
Oh yeah. That's looking really cool.
So I hope you kids are having fun and making lots of mess. Don't forget your splatters as well. We can splatter, can't we? Nice bit of splattery.
Paint stuck on. Look, that is so cool.
Oh my goodness, hope you got your aprons on. I thought my computer was going to sleep then. Are you getting there, Sophia?
Yep. Green.
There we go, and I think that's another one done. So on to our final piece of collage paper, and this is going to be for our baby chicks that are very cute. So with this one, you've learned all the techniques. You know that you put your wax on first.
You know it.
and you get your paint on next. You can, for this one, you can do any lines you like with your wax. You can use any colours you like. If you like pink, use pink. If you like yellow or blue, use yellow or blue. You don't just go for, you know, boring colours. Make this like a crazy rainbow, really fun sheet that we can
with the wax.
that we're going to cut up later. It's good if you get different colours on this sheet, so then when we cut out our little chicks, they can be different colours.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
So like I could
Like
do
a patchwork.
So I could do like.
So I'm going to do circles, I think, on this
Mom,
page.
So I could do some pink, I could like divide it into 3.
Yeah.
And do some pink
Stripes.
and some yellow, and then I could do some red and some orange,
Yeah.
and then I could do some purple and some blue on the next one.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa,
So you can do any
cool,
colours you
man.
like. So I'm pressing hard. I'm doing circles with my wax.
Okay. Just need to put it in my chair.
You right?
Yeah.
Have you got your paintbrush?
Here.
Choose your colour. Make it nice and wet.
Okay,
I'm going in with red.
3, 2, 1. Whoa.
Going in with the red there. I'm going in there with some pink.
Going in there with some yellow. Big stripes of yellow. Lovely, lovely yellow.
So, although I've done different colours on the page, I haven't kind of mixed them all in together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another tip is not to make a horrible muddy colour, is maybe choose warm colours or cold colours. And if you do that, you won't make mud. What are cold colours?
The cold colours are like blue, purple, and like green, dark green.
Yeah, so I'm going for the kind of warm colours here.
That is awesome.
For my...
I'm going for like different like lines. So what I'm gonna do, like, I'm gonna do some purple strokes on this one.
So can you see I'm kind of making kind of
so
patchwork
cool.
of colour, and it doesn't need to be all coloured in either. You can leave some white spaces if you like. And I'm going to do some splatters. Splat, splat, splat. Maybe go in with like a darker browny colour for my splatters. Oh, that's nice. I like that.
I'm gonna go for this.
So this is looking good for my chickies.
This is looking really
and
cool.
I've got a bit of sponge here.
Oh yeah.
That might make another little kind of texture. Going with the red maybe.
Some more wax on this purple.
See how that makes a speckledy kind of texture if you don't press too hard. You get a kind of speckledy, spongy texture. You don't have to do any of this. To be honest, it doesn't matter what this page looks like as long as you are having fun.
That's looking cool.
Yeah, yours is looking lovely and stripy.
It's not like
so we're just working on a plain
piece of
sheet.
So you don't need like any like
white
fancy paper, just white paper. It's fine.
So that's my chickie
Yeah. I haven't finished my chip
page. That's all right. That's fine. You keep
I'm
going.
gonna do some splatters with my toothbrush.
So you should have now 3 pieces of paper. So you've got your template printout that we did, which has got a lovely squiggly wavy pattern on. You've got your crazy brightly coloured colours that you really like one, and you've got your farmyard nest background one as well. So we are going to cut out our hen. So you simply turn your sheet over and cut along the line. So we're going to cut out this bit, which is the hen's body, and this bit, which is the wings. Now try not to cut your words in half, because you might want to stick those on at the end as well. So maybe you could kind of just cut your words out and put them safely to the side somewhere. Now if you're a very small little one, yeah, you might need some help with the cutting, and we're always careful with scissors, aren't we? And always point them downwards and not at our faces. There we go. Oh, and straight away you can see that we've got the makings of a Jesus hen on our page. And this bit at the top here, that looks a bit like a moon, we also need to cut that out too, because that is going to be our hen's wing. It's really lovely when you just cut out the shape from the back and you don't know what it's going to look like, and then you turn it over and you go, ta-da!
Oh, that is awesome. That is just
Are you pleased with yours?
awesome.
Hold yours up.
Oh yeah.
That's it. You've got a lovely golden hen and I've got a kind of grey speckledy hen. And it really doesn't matter what colour your hen is, as long as you like it. That's good. Okay. So, what do we need to do next? We need to just make this a little bit more hen-like with a little bit of red paper. You really only need a tiny bit of red paper for this. So we are going to draw on our piece of red paper. We are going to draw 2 hearts and then a kind of heart that has sort of 3 lumps instead of 2 lumps. Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, I better draw it and then people will understand. Okay, so a heart, what does a heart look like? It probably needs to be about the size of a 2p, about that sort of size. So quite a sort of small heart. Maybe parents might need to help with the drawing, and then the children can.
That's a really good heart, Mum.
Get involved with sticking them on. So I've drawn 2 hearts like that, which I'm going to cut out, and then I'm going to draw like a 3 lump heart.
Is that for like the top?
That
bit?
is for the comb of the chicken. It's called a comb. It's like the red bit on top.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean. Once you've drawn them, you can cut them out.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
I think actually one of the hearts could even be a bit smaller.
What are the hearts for?
Ooh. That heart's probably better to be more like a sort of 1p piece, and then that's a 2p piece one, which I'm going to put on the wing, because this is all about God's love for us, Jesus's love for us, and how he wants to gather us under his wings. So that represents, the wing represents Jesus's hug. And so we've got a comb which just tucks up like a hat on the chicken's head. We've got this bit. I don't really know what this bit's called.
Whoa.
Finally, we need a beak. So I've got a little piece of orange. You only need the tiniest little bit of orange or yellow cardboard for a beak, or black. Some chickens have black beaks. Black would work. Or just do some white paper and colour it in whatever colour beak you like. Hey, look at that. Is that looking a bit like a hen now?
Is mine looking...
You're doing great. So now we just need to stick these down. But don't stick your wing on, okay?
Yes.
So you can stick the heart onto the wing.
But not
don't
wing onto the chicken.
Don't stick the wing onto the chicken. That is exactly right. The wing to one side for a minute, and then we're going to put lots of glue on the back of the chicken. Stick the chicken on our nest, on our background, and then we can stick on the comb. Maybe just tuck that behind the chicken's head. And this little bit that comes down this way, and his little triangle beak, which goes there. And of course he needs an eye of some kind. Colouring in that eye there, like that. I just leave a little white bit in it, just makes it look a bit more alive and shiny. And there we go. There's our hen. Now the only thing that you might like to do as well is maybe put a bit more featheriness on her tail. So you could actually stick on a feather at this point, or you could, if you don't have a feather, you could use some, I've got some little scraps of fabric here. I don't know what this is. This is some kind of woolly, tea-dyed woolly fabric. This was a bit of an old chiffony type scarf, and if you fray the fabric a bit, it starts to look quite feathery if you've got quite a nice fraying type fabric. That's quite good actually. I'm quite liking that. So for our wing, we're not going to use glue. What we're going to do is we are going to use a little bit of sticky tape, sellotape. I'm just using just a little bit of sellotape, and I'm going to stick that at the top of the wing, to stick the wing on, just a little piece. And now our wing will flap up, hopefully, with a bit of luck. And so we can make, the next step is to make some little chicks that are going to fit under the wing, because that's what our Bible verse said, that Jesus, how he has longed to gather us under his wings. So we're going to gather ourselves and our loved ones under the wing of our Jesus hen. So now we have our hen all sorted. In a minute, Sophia is going to show us how to make a little chick. Very cute. So the first chick we're going to make is going to represent you. And this is really important because each of us, we have a choice, don't we, about whether to accept Jesus's love or not. And I don't know how you feel about that, whether you're really excited and up for it, or whether if you're honest, you might have a few reservations about accepting Jesus's love. There might be any number of reasons for that. Maybe some of us struggle to believe that he could really love us. Maybe we believe that he loves other people, but he might not love us. Maybe we have doubts and questions about our faith. Maybe we have fear about intimacy, perhaps, for whatever reason. Maybe we just don't know enough about Jesus yet to make that decision to accept his love. Or maybe we've been disappointed and hurt by life and we don't really trust that he is good. Well, I think it's a really good point just to pause for a minute and think about what Jesus has done to show that he loves us. And what he did was a great and terrible act to show how much he loves us. He actually let himself be killed on a cross. And the reason he did this is because we were separated, the human race was separated from God by our sin, by all the stuff that we do wrong. And that meant that we couldn't receive God's love. God was reaching out to us, wanting to give us a big hug, but there was all this sin in the way. And Jesus went to the cross and died so that that sin could be dealt with. It was pinned to him on the cross and taken away, so that we are now free to come into his arms and receive his love. So from his point of view, he is, like in our Bible verse, longing to embrace us and to be in relationship with us, to hug us and have a intimate relationship with us. But he still gives us that choice about whether to say yes or no. So those are a few things to think about as we move forward and make our chick.
Now we're going to make the chicks.
Oh, and what do the chicks represent?
They represent us. So me and you.
Yeah.
Or you and me. Okay, so first, choose your favourite bit of the paper and then draw an egg shape.
Okay. about the same size
as a real
real egg, like an oval shape.
but just a bit more pointy at the top, like that.
Perfect.
Then you cut it out. So I've got my little egg too.
That's great, isn't it?
I need to do the eyes.
We need to do some eyes. How are we going to do the eyes, Sophia? Okay, what are we using to do the eyes, Sophia?
A pencil.
Okay, and
you need to do it like far apart.
yeah,
Like that, and really big. Because if you put it in the middle, it doesn't really look as good.
they look a bit like penguins. We found out if you put the eyes in the middle.
Yeah. Now we're going to do the beak.
Okay, what are we going to make the beak out of?
We're going to make the beak out of some orange paper or red paper or yellow paper if you don't have any orange.
You could colour in a tiny bit of yellow or orange paper because we're only going to use the tiniest bit. So what are you doing now, Sophia?
I'm just drawing the beak on here.
Okay, and what shape is it?
A diamond. At the same time. Cute! That's looking cute. Now glue it on.
Just using a glue stick to glue on the little beak underneath the eyes. Oh, he's already looking really cute.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, now if you have any, you can use some feathers as the wings. But if you don't have any, you can use some tissue paper or something and use some wings like this.
So we just drew a sort of leaf shape
And then cut some lines
and cut some feathery edges, cut into it with some scissors to make some feathery edges.
Like these two, or you could use some feathers. I'm going to use feathers on mine. It's just really fluffy. It's a bit too big.
Yeah, I think even smaller than that actually.
Like that.
Yeah, that looks good.
Ooh.
I normally put them sort of like that.
Yeah,
downwards.
yeah, it's looking way better.
Ooh.
Sorry. I need a different. Like that.
Aww.
He's looking really cute.
This is the Sophia chick that Jesus wants to cuddle. I would want to cuddle you if you look like that. And
hey, you still do want to cuddle me.
yeah, I still do want to cuddle you, that's true. I want to cuddle you exactly the way you are.
Hug. Now stick them on.
Oh, well done. You've made a beautiful
Little chick.
little chick.
Hey.
Hold it up to the camera there so everyone can see.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well done. So now that we've made a little chick, we can, if we want to, if we're ready to say yes to Jesus, yes, I do accept your love, I do want to be loved by you and to love you, then we can put our little chick under the wing of our hen and we can glue him. Oops. We can lift up our wing and glue our little chick in here. So that's chick number one. You can now go on and make as many chicks as you like in a similar vein. So for the next chick that you make, can you think about somebody else in your life who needs to feel God's love right now? Maybe someone who's living on their own at the moment, or someone who you're really missing at the moment, and you want them to feel God's love. So keep them in mind, and as a prayer to God, a prayer of protection and comfort, and that they would feel God's presence. Make a little chick and put it safely next to you under Jesus's wing, and you can do that for as many people as you like, as often as you like. Sophia made a chick to represent her friend, her school friend, and also she made a chick. She wanted to make something for her granddad as well, my dad. And we talked about the fact that granddad isn't a Christian, and he doesn't really know Jesus yet, but Jesus still loves him all the same, and that it was still totally all right to put him in Jesus's care. But instead of doing a chick, we decided to do an egg, because he wasn't quite hatched yet. He hadn't quite made that decision yet. And then Sophia had the idea of putting a crack in the egg to say he's going to hatch soon. So I loved that as a kind of prophetic declaration of the fact that Grandad is going to come into the kingdom, and a prayer that would happen. So I loved that. So you can do that for people in your life that you know. Oh, also to say that when you lift up the wing, you'll see there's a bit of white space here, and I thought that was quite a nice journaling space. If you want to say anything to God, if you've had any revelation while making your chicken, or just a place to write your thoughts or other Bible verses, or whatever you like, there's a little bit of space for some writing there if you're a writing kind of person. Also, don't forget, we've got our words, our Bible verse on the printout. If you want to cut those out and stick them onto your page, you can do that, or you could just write the Bible verse in your own handwriting as well, if you would like to do that. So I'm going to leave you to get on with it now. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you'd like to keep in touch and do more videos like this with me and maybe Sophia too, then please do like my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and there will no doubt be more on its way. So let's keep in touch, and I'll see you soon. Bye.